that might be one of the biggest lessons is people's time is valuable. And if you want some of their time, it's going to change your life. But if you want that time, you do have to somehow compensate them for it.
Lustig, everyone, is on today, and we are going to have a kick-ass time talking about cool stuff that Josh Lustig is doing. We were in Memphis at the Medicare Con 2021, and I brought Josh in. I thought Josh would be a good speaker. He's got a good story, and then he stole the freaking show. Josh, why did you steal my show?
Just trying to help some people, that's all.
Okay. Yeah, that's what he wants us to believe. He's got those boyish good looks and that Idahoan charm, and he wants everybody to believe he's genuine. But I'm here to find out if he's truly the real deal. So, Josh, tell us a little bit about yourself, what you've been doing, what you've been up to, and your aspirations.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people that are, in the Gurus community, I've got to meet, especially at the mastermind. It was awesome. So my story is basically I grew up in a small town here in Cottonwood, Idaho, and I got into business about 5 years ago. And we really focused mostly locally until about a year and a half ago. And then we started doing some online stuff, generating more leads, getting out of our comfort zone, learning from people like Justin Brock on some of the other things that you're doing, Justin. And it's just exploded, and things are going really well. We're having a lot of fun in the process. And the best part about this industry, in my opinion, is you can help a lot of people at the same time as helping, yourself and your family. So I just love it. I think it's the place to be. And so everyone that's in the Medicare world should pat themselves on the back. It is the best industry, in my opinion, for making money and helping people at the same time. It's a win-win.
A win-win-win, right?
A triple win.
It's a win for me, it's a win for the insurance company, and it's a win for the customer. And
Absolutely.
then it's a win for my kids and my wife. So it's a win-win, win-win-win, win-win-win-win, okay? So is that what Marshall Silver says? Everybody wins? So
he does say some things like that. One of my mentors, yes.
So tell me, when we were at 8% Nation, and I don't know if you care to share this, but we both of us got up at the end of Marshall Silver's presentation, and we ran back to the back of the room, and we gave him $2,000.
Yes.
Josh actually showed up for the class. I didn't. It was the middle of AEP, and my business is a little bit different than his, so our business explodes in AEP. His is more fluid throughout the year. And I had the cop out, I'll try to do it. I tried to do it, and trying equaled I didn't do it. So I wasn't there. And Josh goes, and then Josh says, I want the big kahuna. I want to get more Marshall Silver training. And, I think a lot of people were like, man, Josh, that's crazy. You just gave Marshall Silver a lot of money. But after hearing you speak at Medicare Con, I have to say it must have been money well spent. So what do you have to say about investing in yourself, not just with him, but with people like Cody? And you've bought a lot of our courses and programs, and Medicare Bob and other people, I'm sure, as well. What do you have to say about investing in yourself to the tune of $120,000 in the first year and $45,000
yes, in the last
in one?
Yeah, in the last 12 months, I've spent, with everything from multiple different people, $120,000 on myself, personal development, but mainly three categories: sales, coaching, and courses, marketing, courses, and coaching, and then mindset coaching. And for me, it's been life-changing, transformative. I guess it better be, right?
Yeah.
And one of the things, it's half commitment and half what you learn. I've found that one of the things that I'm passionate about talking about now is if I give everything that I know to someone in my office for free, right? Hey, you're just in my office. I'm going to train you. I'm going to give it to you for free. The level of commitment, they're there. They're paying attention. Luckily, my guys are awesome, right? So they're going to pay attention. But just naturally, when we don't pay for something, we don't value it nearly as much. When you pull out your wallet and you pay someone 10, 15, 20, 40, $50,000, whatever that may be, you're making, number one, a commitment to yourself. You're going to see it through until the end. And even if it was the same content that you could have got for free, let's say you knew that person personally, you're going to take it seriously. And there is enough nuggets in that almost always to more than pay for it. Almost every single time. I've never paid for a course that I actually went through and applied that it didn't actually, pay for itself exponentially. And so that's why I have invested so much. I know it's a little bit crazy. It's a large amount, but that's why I have really focused on that. Is every time I spend $5, $10, $20,000 on myself, it comes back almost immediately. And the long-term effects of that, you just can't put a number on,
I know as somebody who's gradually spent more and more money in my life that the amounts of money that scare someone to spend changes not just because of their income, but because of the mindset of that money. So now when someone asks me, to pull out and pay 15,000 or 20,000 to be a part of something, I don't think anything about it. I don't think they're trying to get rich off of me. I think that network, that, opportunity is worth a ton. And I gladly give it just to, support those people in their journey because I know I want to be a part of it. So I often pay for networking opportunities. It's been a big thing for me. I haven't paid for a lot of one-on-one, types of, training, but actually I'm now at the point where I'm like, okay, I've built a really strong network and business, but as I'm getting more and more part of different things in the industry, in the world, and you start realizing what's possible, I almost want someone to help me coach through that mindset thought process so that I can kind of hone in my direction. So I think it's definitely useful. I've been kind of backwards, paying for the network access, building, relationships. And then now I'm thinking, now I need somebody to help me organize that thought process and manifest something great with what we've built. So I definitely believe in it. And I think it's awesome that you do spend that money because it just shows you have, a lot of intestinal fortitude. I was going to say balls. Now I've said it. There's no coming back. But yeah, you have a lot of testicular fortitude, to be able to pull out something and say, a lot of times people think people with a lot of balls are the guys that, get in bar fights and stuff a lot. But a lot of times they're the people that are just willing to pull their wallet out. They're willing to show up. They're willing to make the contact attempts. At every phase, it's all about not getting inside your own head, not having that negative mindset. And I know you don't. So I think a lot of these guys are just basically taking Josh Lustig, who's a good canvas, and helping him paint a better and better picture. So kudos to you on that. Now,
100%.
I want to dive into something that everybody wants to know about. Everybody wants to know the secret. Josh Lustig has a secret, okay? And the secret that Josh Lustig has is he is killing it in the Medicare space very quickly. In a lot of people say, and I've heard this before too, well, it's second generation. He's just writing business in his dad's office. Well, from what I know about Josh's office is they didn't do a ton of Medicare before he got there. Did a lot of under 65 health, a little bit of Medicare, and almost all of it, group health, PNC, everything was local to some degree. There was some sort of local aspect to it. Now, Josh, is 90% of your business is nowhere near where you're at. You've created a system that is independent of any, familial ties or branding that came before you. And, without giving away the MJ secret sauce, which I think a lot of times is just hard work and showing up and trying things and not being afraid. But tell us about the evolution of that process as much as you're willing to share.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, going back to the family thing, a lot of people, I know quite a few people that are second or third generation, and don't use that as a like a crutch, or as like, don't let it prevent you from doing anything that you want to, but also make sure that you realize how blessed you are to have that situation. So I'm very blessed to have my dad in the business, and he built a very strong local brand, and we have this county very well locked down in a way. He does a lot of business here. We never did really travel outside of our little small area though, because we've done pretty well here. So when I came in, I had to carve something of my own, and I started in some other niches. But then I figured out, Medicare is amazing. As everyone watching this knows, it's so scalable. And I figured these guys, somebody in Florida at some call center, called one of our local clients and stole them from us. And I just remember feeling like, am I gonna? Like, I just remember feeling kind of like a scarcity mindset setting in. Like, oh my gosh, are we gonna lose out? Is the world changing and we're not? And then the next day I woke up and I go, with my personal development training, why the heck am I thinking that way? If they can call my person, I can call their person. Now, I'm not saying we are competing. I'm just saying, to get a little bigger mindset, I'm going, if they can do it, so can I. And so that's when I went down this path of, I wanted to figure this out. And I'm seeing people like Justin Brock crushing it. How can we do it? And for me, since there's no people in my area, there's only 900 people in my town, 15,000 in my county. I figured we've got to get outside of this area and learn the phone sales. And so I never bought a lead in my life at this point. You just don't know what you don't know, right? And we went out and started investing in marketing and sales training and coaching and figuring this out, because I figured there's two real ways to get, leads. You can either buy them or learn how to develop them yourself. And I figured I might as well, I'm young, I might as well learn how to do it myself. And that's kind of the start of how we built an online system that's consistently, churning out. We try to get around 30 to 35 appointments a week for our guys, so we can have phone appointments and sell over the phone. So for us, that's why, the success that we have had so far, and we're just getting started, but the success that we have had is coming from the fact of this online funnel that we've built to push people onto the calendar and warm them up before we even get on the phone. So for us, that's just been a game changer. Everyone's like, well, how do you do, 50 plan Gs in a month, Josh? And I go, well, how many appointments are you sitting? I'm sitting, 40 plus a week. That's kind of unfair. Like it is. It's not the same as when I was, hustling when I didn't know this system. It just isn't the same. So for us, it's been a game changer. I'm not sure if that's exactly, if I went off track here, but that's kind of the evolution of where we came from and where we're kind of going now.
Okay. So what kind of internet service and phone service can you get in a town with 900 people?
Slow.
Yeah, that's got to be a struggle. You probably have like one of those gigantic metal satellites on top of your building, right?
Yeah, a big booster. I got to steal it from the people that have all the money down the street, right?
Yeah, so you have to. You're using the VoIP, so you're having to like suck the internet up from the town just to get out there. That's funny. And so I imagine too, you have had trouble even hiring, good agents. Like I know you have a couple. I know, a couple of your guys are real, strong guys, and they really look up to you. And but with a population that small, that's got to be a cumbersome task to find people to put in office that are qualified and see the vision.
Yeah, that is. There's always different situations. Everyone has their own. If I was sitting in the middle of Seattle or some big city, obviously I'd have a different approach maybe. But since I'm not, you got to just deal with the facts, and we don't have very many people to choose from, especially since it's primarily, in our area, small town America, more blue collar type, focus.
Hmm.
And so it's a little bit harder to find the people that want a job like this. And I'm not going to have 50 people in a call center. It's just not going to, this area. I'm not going to say I can't. I'm going to say it would not be probable to find enough people for that. So we're doing some other things and helping agents that are more virtual, and that's been working quite well for us. It's the same model. You just wish that you were in person with them on a day-to-day basis. I get that just from a camaraderie
Yeah.
standpoint. When the bell rings, it's kind of fun to hear the bell
Yeah.
when you make a sale, which I highly recommend. If you don't have a bell in your office, get a bell for every person. When they make a sale, ring it. It's done a lot for our culture around here. It's fun. But anyway, so yeah, we're doing more virtual agents now, just because it's the model that we're kind of forced into. But there's some merits there too. There's some fruits of every situation, right?
Yeah, so the cool thing, I guess, about it is you can probably go out and find people who have lots of attributes. They're already licensed, and maybe they just need some sort of stability in their lead flow, and marketing isn't their strong suit. So,
Yeah.
so there's definitely a lot of those out there, and I've actually been referring a few of them to Josh, because sometimes I meet people and I think, man, if this person could just be in some sort of system where they didn't have to worry about the marketing aspect of it and could still participate in the fruits, there's a potential relationship to be had there. So anybody that's watching this that maybe falls in that category, you should probably reach out to Josh. He may be a good prospect for you. There are some other opportunities that I think Josh is working on that we've been talking about, and they're evolving, that may even put it where even if you didn't want to work with Josh, you may be able to participate in the fruits of his, uh, I guess, practice, or all the training, the $120,000 training, and the probably even more than that spent on failing ads, and processes before you actually figured out what worked and made it better and better and better. So, um,
Yeah.
we'll get away from that, but wanted to talk about something. So, people ask me a lot about mine and my dad's relationship, because he was an independent agent. What's your dad think about all that you're doing right now?
I probably should ask him. Um, no, I think now that I'm a parent, I realize, what it looks like. I think a lot of times as a parent, you want to make sure that safety is your number one concern for your children. And I think that for a lot of us, like if you're in the business right now and you're a younger person and you have a father figure in the business, especially if it's the same office, I think a lot of times you might have some great ideas and some things that you want to bring to the market. And for them, you got to remember, they changed your diaper. So you got to remember that when they do support you, it's a big deal, because they are giving you, they're the security. And so if they let go of that and say, here, fly away on this project and let's hope it works, you know, they have a big responsibility there, or at least they feel like it's a responsibility, even when we're all adults. I'm sure you probably can, vouch for that too, Justin. I don't know if that's the same, relationship. My dad's been very supportive the whole way through, but he definitely does want to bring an element of caution and say, hey, are you sure that you should spend 50 grand on that training?
I can't say that I ever spent 50 grand on one training, but I can tell you that all along the way, pretty much, I've had, and my dad was successful. My dad, when I've told this before, but when I came into the business, he was making about, 350,000 a year in his business. So it's not like he was broke. He was doing well. But I think, we've really scaled that and shown what's possible by breaking through a lot of barriers. And I continue to break through barriers. Medicare Con was a huge barrier for me, that now I'm sitting here thinking, okay, we got to double and triple this, because there's so much out there, and it's not even just about, revenue or money or driving influence. It's about getting together and having fun and making an impact, So, but there were times where I would say, I'm going to do this on Facebook, and, you'd hear the classic, oh, they're not responding to anything. Or like he would say, well, I tried some Google AdWords, they don't work, and I'm like, but I know they do because there are these billion-dollar companies that are using them, and I have to think that they're not going to do it for no reason,
Right.
and so I would just, so a lot of times, we had a deal when I started out where if I wanted to do direct mail, he would pay for half of it, but I had to split all my apps with him. So MedSups, dental,
Oh,
all split
gotcha.
it with him. So like looking back on it, I realized like that's almost a crutch, because if it's profitable, it's a really good deal for him to get half the commission. So for half the cost of the lead. But at the time, I wasn't worried about that. I was glad to have some support in that way. So I go out and run that, and then I'm like, well, I want to do Facebook ads, and he didn't really want to put any money into Facebook ads at that moment. So I kept running the direct mail, splitting it with him and doing that. But at the same time, I was putting my own money in 100% on the Facebook side and trying to get it to work. And then it finally did work. And we've done more than this since then, but I had that 1 week in 2017, 16 or 17 in AEP where I wrote 72 apps in 1 week
That's
by
crazy.
myself. And he was like, okay, Facebook does work. So then he started splitting Facebook with me, because actually
Yeah.
I was still having to split all my apps with him, even though I was paying for all the Facebooks. That was our agreement back then. And so I was like, well, but eventually he paid for all of it. And of course it was so profitable at the time. What I didn't know, and a big takeaway that I've tried to tell people, is when you have something that is working, scale it as fast as possible, because it may not work forever. So
Yeah.
monetize it as many times over as you can and make it work, so that now you have the revenue, B, the upfront money, to where when something doesn't work, you can then pivot and have the money and the funds to then find what's round 2, what's round 3, and maybe
I
even
think that's
diversify.
I think that's very important. I mean, you've been a master at this. First of all, there's 2 points. Number one, before we go into a little more on the marketing side, talking about your relationship with your dad and stuff. I've talked to a lot of agents that it seems like there's always kind of someone to blame for it, and that's not the majority that I talk to. I have a pretty awesome friend list. Let's put it this way. I love the people that I'm friends with, but a lot of people can get in the mindset like, oh well, I'm not successful because I only got half the comp. Well, Justin Brock is sitting here as one of the most successful people that in this space, and you started at maybe not an ideal comp structure, but you still made more money and helped more people than most agents ever will. And maybe speak to this a little bit. I want to ask you the question, because I've always admired that you picked a path and you just went for it and said, well, so what if I have 10% less comp or 20% less comp than I should? At the end of the day, we can deal with that later. Let's just write some business and make something happen.
Yeah. So I've reverse engineered the entire compensation conversation, because most people don't rate high comp. I've talked to, even recently talking to agents that are brand new. I've even talked to people that aren't even licensed yet that want to know the full comp structure, and I'm like, that's not the most important, part of the conversation for you. The most important part of the conversation is how are you going to make money? How is it going to work? It's all theoretical until you're doing it. And, it's kind of, a goofy conversation, because now that we have, very high levels everywhere, most of the reason that we have those high levels is so that we can go after and support other large successful distributions. It's not so
Yep.
that I can recruit in a small guy and make a gigantic spread on him. Although I think
Right.
some FMOs and recruiters do that, and that's their whole goal. And I mean, spread is spread. I'll take compensation wherever I get it, and reinvest it into our business model and other business models that support our singular business. But the compensation conversation isn't something that I think anybody should be very worried about until they have a
Yeah.
successful stream, a successful model, something, that's working. Then we can start saying, okay, I have this buttoned up. I can do this without any support. Now I want to scale it. What compensation, am I allotted? And that's when that happens. Now, there's an early on concept where you ought to know what you're giving and taking for being maybe LOA.
Sure.
You know, there's definitely situations where you and I both have LOA agents where we provide an extremely, good system for them and office space and all these different things that we're providing. And that makes, sense. And I'm not definitely not saying there aren't people that get into an LOA situation that's less than ideal and they don't realize it until it's too late and they don't
Yeah.
have any renewals and nobody was ever really doing anything for them. But I think for the most part, the compensation conversation is something that should be secondary or tertiary to how am I going to be successful in this industry first? How am I going to get a process that works?
Sure.
So, so uh, I think, and me and you have a hierarchical relationship too in a lot of ways, and
Yeah.
that's never been something that's been a huge thing for us. Of course, I'm transparent with you about it because you do have a process, and you should know exactly what's out there and what's possible. But you have never been, somebody that's so successful and it never been like, sitting there trying to edge out compensation, look for points and stuff. And I find that sometimes the people that are the least successful are the ones trying to, edge out another point or two. And I'm like,
Yeah.
and I guess it's because they're not writing enough business for their contract to net enough profit for them right now. So they need that extra
Yeah.
point to help them
I
pay
mean,
their
be
mortgage.
smart. I mean, be smart, obviously. That's not my point. I mean, be smart about it. It's still business, but at the end of the day, relationships have to come above business. And if someone's giving you something that's helping you drive the volume, like you're in my relationship, I'm not sitting here trying to say, hey, Justin, how can I get an extra $20 an app? And on a good size operation, that's a big deal. But what would that look like? I mean, time is valuable, and if I can sum up my experience in the last year of spending $120,000, that might be one of the biggest lessons is people's time is valuable, and if you want some of their time, it's going to change your life. But if you want that time, you do have to somehow compensate them for it. Otherwise, it's not that they're greedy and they're saying, I need to get paid for my time. They're saying, look, my time is valuable. Those that want my time just have to pay for it. That's it. And sometimes I talk to people and they're like, I just don't like that. I think that feels, like it's not a relationship. No, I just think that's the way the world works,
Well,
you
it,
know?
it depends on like, who has earned, a relationship. And this is not me. I'm not trying to be condescending, but like, you know, um, all day long, I get messages. I think I told you the other day, I get 17 non-spam emails an hour from
Yeah.
agents or, I've actually, it's not mostly clients anymore because I have my sales team doing clients. It's mostly agents or carrier representatives that are legitimate communications. I get 5, 10, at least messages or different messenger conversations started on Facebook every hour. We get,
Yeah.
I get texts galore. I mean, if you look at my text chain, I mean, since I've been on here, I've had having messages from text, everything. There's so much communication going on. And of course I want to communicate with someone, but there has to be some sort of value that I perceive there. Either they provide
Yep.
they provide value in that they have information that I need or I enjoy their company and it betters my life, or
Right.
there's a monetary exchange there. And what I've found too is I always struggle to ask people for money for time, but I found the more relevant I've become, the most successful people offer me money before I even ask them for it. Julian
Yes.
Chambers, for instance.
Love
Honestly,
that guy.
Julian Chambers, I'm sitting down with him this morning, to do coaching. But before that, he's like, how much do I need to pay you to sit down with you for an hour? The
Yes.
thing was, like, he probably could have said, I'm going to sit down with you for an hour. And because I'm close to him, he's been in my Medicare Monsters program. He's done all kinds of stuff. I probably would have just talked to him and not thought anything about it and tried to. But by that solidification of that, I guess, agreement, it makes me really come to it prepared. And I think I'm sitting there thinking, okay, this person's paying me for my time. I want to make sure that I provide, ample value. Otherwise, I'm probably going to be
Yes.
distracted, and I want to help somebody, but you're getting like half-assed Justin if you're getting that, you're not getting the full.
100%. And the person on the other side, this is a big breakthrough for me. The person on the other side of the conversation, they're going to get less if they don't pay for it. That brings it back to what we were just talking about a few minutes ago. If they pay you $10,000 for that 10-minute conversation, let's say, for, I know that's not your rate, but if that's the case,
trying to get there.
what every single word that you say, if I'm paying you that kind of money, I'm writing it down, and I'm not just going to write it down and put it in the closet and say, I'm never going to, touch that again. I'm going to implement it every single day. You could do that with a book. A billionaire writes a book and says, here's my life lessons. Buy it on Amazon, $19.99. So you buy it. It's $20 worth of stuff. You read 3 chapters, and then you're like, oh, okay, that was pretty neat. And you got something from it. Yeah. But they literally said 10 steps to becoming a billionaire. And they are a billionaire. And you buy the book. They spent thousands of hours of their life, probably, maybe, hundreds maybe, writing this thing to leave their legacy. And we don't even take the first 3 steps. Yeah. If you paid $100,000 and you flew to that billionaire's house and he said, okay, here's the 10 steps, it's $100,000 program. Here's the 10 steps to becoming a billionaire. Chapter 1, he just read it to you. You're taking notes like crazy. You're going home, you're implementing it. Yeah. Anything that this guy said, you're going to do.
It's the same content. And the funny thing about that, is what I believe is the people that pay substantial money for things, I think the biggest difference is they believe that they're going to get something in return for it. The other people don't believe it. So like, well, I'll dip my toe in with a book. Well, they don't even believe the book's going to do anything for them. So why commit the time to it? There's a lot of people with very negative tones towards mindset or motivation or any of that stuff. Honestly, I was big on our Medicare Con being practical. I wanted to bring practical information. So I said 15% motivation, mindset, and 85% practicality and actual concepts. I believe that is a good mix, but there's other times I go places that are over 50% mindset motivation. It doesn't mean that I don't take away a ton from it. I was talking to somebody else about going to 8% the other day, and I said, are you going to 8%? And they said, well, I'm not sure I see the value in it. I'd rather go to the smaller, more, exclusive things. And I'm like, to be honest, and to be honest is something I'm trying to quit saying, because I think it's a bad sales thing. But if I'm telling, if I'm going anywhere I go, I get value, because I think the value in something is what you make it. If I'm going to a conference and there's 500 people in my industry there, surely to God, there's somebody there that I can create a valuable relationship with. And, so for me, of course, I can't live at conferences. At some point, you have to make the rubber meet the road, have practicality. But I think like Johnny, my brother, he's sitting there, like, since he started going to conferences, he goes to 8% in 2020, September last year. His first 3 months in the business, he put $67,000 in his checking account. This guy's probably never had more than, I think the most he'd ever had before that was he got like a lawsuit disbursement of like $3,500. So it changed his life. So now he goes to Medicare Con, he gets reinvigorated. First thing he does, he comes back, he buys a ticket to 8-figure mastermind. He buys he's buying his flight to go to the Medicare Supplement Conference in September. He's looking
awesome.
He's going to 8%. I'm bringing him to that one, and he's decided, like, for him, he needs to be at those events every 2 or 3 months. Just keep him going. It helped me. I was experiencing burnout galore early on, and now I go to these events. I go to the smaller masterminds. I go to, and it just keeps me going and learning more and realizing what's possible, and keeps me in that massive momentum, phase. So anyway, I think it's huge, and, not to go down that rabbit hole, but investing in yourself, investing your time, your energy is always going to be what you make it. And so if you have the mindset that it's not going to provide you value, then it won't. But it's not the event. It's not the, because where there are other people that speak my language, there's value.
100%. I couldn't agree more with you. And I love hearing that about Johnny. He's a great guy, and he's doing some big things. I agree with you. Just get reinvigorated every time you go with a new idea, a new resolve, and to bring it back and make a difference. I kind of agree. I like to go every 3 months personally. I think it's awesome. But I have a question for you. We're talking about the like marketing a second ago. How you've become a marketer? Like you're not just an agency owner, and I think you can be successful in a lot of ways. But talk to me like how much uh, in your business life, what would you say the success is that learning marketing, right? Because we always talk like, okay, one little piece of marketing might work for a couple of years and then you might pivot a little bit. But at the end of the day, not everyone has the ability to pivot. You do because you understand marketing as a whole and you've learned the skill sets of marketing. I mean, how big would you say that is, or is it not really that important for most people out there?
So this is going to be. I'll take this back to a conversation I had with Medicare Bob early on, and then talk about even conversations I've had with Landon. I think no matter who you hire for marketing, okay, let's say we're talking about secure agent marketing. We do a lot of business with them.
Hmm.
Me and Steven, and me primarily because I never want to outsource it, but Steven is my attempt to duplicate myself. Um, we are completely involved in the marketing conversation every step along the way. Secure is our effort to replicate ourselves and tap into some additional knowledge on that front. But the entire time we're trying to learn. Early on, I had a conversation with Medicare Bob Beish, and we talked about how the single thing that you can never let go of in your business ever is marketing, because
Yep.
when you understand the marketing side of it, you're irreplaceable. Everything else is
Yeah.
replaceable. Sales cures all, and that's true. But marketing and sales go so hand in hand that you could have the best salesperson in the world and they wouldn't sell shit if they couldn't have the marketing done correctly. The lead
100%.
flow, whatever that means, and there are different ways to market. But I think that, you work an extremely high value or target rich Medicare prospect. And most people that work those types of prospects, we have done that too, and we still do. It's a huge portion of our business. Don't want to go back to working the easy marketing. With the easy marketing,
No, you get spoiled.
yeah. I don't want to do, like dropping direct mail and all that. We do it to supplement our business and our field agents and things like that. But my core, idea of marketing is to get high value, prospects in front of my people as often as possible and replicate that as much as possible, and then grow my LOA core to be able to support that side. Downline
100%.
distribution, doesn't get that because, it's expensive and time consuming, and it's
Of
something
course.
that I have to protect my investment of. And it's not even just the investment of money, because somebody might say, well, this is your CPA and CPL and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, but I created that. Because if it's not
Yeah.
valuable, you go create it. Have fun. I
Yeah.
don't care. I'll give you the top
Take a
contract
year of
you
your
get,
life.
you do it. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fine.
Take a year of
Everybody,
your life and 50 grand and do it.
yeah, just go
Most
do it.
people won't,
Yeah.
but it is important to learn. So like I would say, in my opinion, to answer that same question, I would say, especially for the people that are already making six figures, you have a sales process. I hear this a lot. I'm really good at sales, so I'm going to outsource the marketing. I think that's, in a way, that's definitely okay, as long as you still are the marketing brain behind it, that you're very involved, because I think it's easier to duplicate on the sales side. I think it's easier to find salespeople and duplicate that and have success with it, because you can create a system and a process, kind of like that turning 65 process I went through at the mastermind at Medicare Con. You can duplicate that fairly easily compared to, well, let's just throw $500 at this marketing campaign and hope that these are a good batch of leads.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
like I
Yeah.
said, you can buy leads or generate leads, and I think that
Right.
those in the industry, at least when I was looking at all the industry players that are big, right? The Justin Brocks of the world, the Boomer Benefits of the world, right? Medicare Bob. All of you have one thing in common. you know how to market.
Yeah. No, that's definitely true, you know, and I don't pretend to be able to market as good as Danielle Kunkel, because she's awesome, you know, at
Yeah,
that, and she's been doing a
she's
great
genius.
job. But we do a decent job at it, you know, in comparison. But the you're right, marketing is the most irreplaceable portion of it. I don't know if you watched that interview between Grant Cardone and Jordan Belfort, where they argue about the difference in marketing and sales. Um, it's a funny interview, you know, because Grant Cardone definitely came into it half cocked, and I don't even know why he did the interview. But by the end of it, you know, Grant looks kind of crazy, but at the same time, I agree with him, because the whole time, you know, Jordan's kind of telling him, well, you're not a salesperson, you're a marketer, and he's saying they're the same thing, and to
Yeah,
some degree they are, you know, because if you can market well enough, sales is super easy, you know, and that's actually indicative of some of these large call centers that aren't selling, they're just enrolling because the marketing side was
right.
done so well.
Or more of an order taker, a skilled order taker.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the ideal. You know, inbound traffic obviously is ideal. At that point, you know, the marketing side good marketing can overcome mediocre salespeople. But the best thing is if you become like a Justin Brock's office here with Steven and Rob and all your guys, you're skilled and you're skilled on both sides. And that's, I think, where we all want to go. You know, everyone is building a system, and that's what we are duplicating as well. Is, you know, there's niches out there that you can learn, and it makes the sales side a lot easier.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's the truth. And so you need to invest in yourself. If you're working hard and doing some granular stuff to get your income up to where you can afford the next level, well, the next level becomes investing in new marketing strategies and trying to find something that builds you out of the day-to-day grind. Medicare is a great way to put in the grit work initially because of the residual back end that then you can invest in a strategy that takes you out of it forever. Nobody wants to work LIS leads for their entire life, you know. But for a year or two, and a couple of years, you get your residual built up. Then you can take some of that money and figure out a strategy like Josh has used, some of the ones we've used, some of these other guys out there are using that are much more fruitful without the you know, trailers and cat pee. So anyway, I think that is getting us close to wrapping it up. I know me and Josh have huge you have a huge call tonight with a huge figure. Awesome guy.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. It's going to be a really, really cool conversation. I'm excited about it. And you guys stay tuned, because there will be more coming. So hope you enjoyed this interview. If you have any questions for Josh, or you want to get in touch with him, how can they get in touch with you, Josh?
Honestly, the best way is just friend me on Facebook and send me a message.
That's right. Yep. And if you want to iMessage him, you can't, because he has in text messages with a Samsung. He's one of my 3 friends with a Samsung phone. So that's saying a lot, Josh. I don't let a lot of people with Samsung phones be my friend, but you're going to get an iPhone soon, right?
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of feedback. You're like the 10th person that is putting some pressure, so I might have to convert.
Must be an Idaho thing. They don't have an iPhone. They don't have an Apple store out there, so
it's gonna hurt me, because my wife is an Apple person, and for the last 5 years she's been telling me that it's been a conversation, and now she's like, okay, so now that just because all your Medicare friends say to get an iPhone, you're going to?
You should have never told her that we said it, and just say, I've been thinking about what you've been saying, babe.
Yeah, you were right. You were right. Yeah. Well, thanks, Justin.
All right. Thank you, buddy.